KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're
the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack!
Good morning, everybody. Man,
Good
great morning as usual.
We got a great show today.
We have a great show today. We have beautiful people in the studio. We have a great subject matter to speak about in regards to energy and green building.
Beautiful people.
Beautiful people.
It's a Rat Pack trend.
Yeah, I know. It's always a Rat Pack trend. I would absolutely agree right there. Myself excluded, by the way.
Yes, it's a rule that we have. You either be an outstanding realtor or smoking hot,
or in this case,
or
both.
Yeah,
which is a huge bonus. So
that is true. Absolutely. So, and with that being said, that person who is
We're shameless, I
great
know.
realtor and smoking hot is Haley Garcia, by the way.
Well, thank you guys. Such an intro. Wow. It's exciting
Where do
to
you
be
go
here
from
this
there,
morning.
right?
Well, yeah, I'm done.
I thought we were talking about business this morning.
Yes, we are.
Oh, absolutely.
What?
You
I'm out of here.
Every once in a while we do speak business. Every once in a while we do speak real estate. And, we have a great subject matter we talked about today.
Absolutely.
One of the things we're going to be going over, obviously, is in regards to energy efficiencies, some of the things that people are seeing in their homes, what they want to possibly buy as
folks
new
are
homes,
looking for.
what they're looking for, how it adds to resale value. We have, obviously, a really good home builder in here who builds green and can also speak to that in one of our other segments as well. But, Haley, start off by introducing yourself and let us know who you are and what you do.
And who you're with.
Well, I'm with Heritage Texas Properties, and we're in the Woodlands. The place to be right now, obviously, as you guys know.
To be.
I've been selling for 13 years and am a broker associate in the Woodlands, and we are not slow right now. I'll say that.
Well, we talk about this all the time, is if you want to sell your home right now, put it on the market. There is a lack of inventory. I think the Woodlands is really low right now.
It's very low. It's very low.
I think if the Woodlands gets any busier, the realtors are going to start building houses.
If we could find land.
Come on,
we could
guys,
find land.
let's just throw something together.
Yeah, I was talking with Haley before the show and talked about, we went up for Capital Title's grand opening up there on Research. Is that
is
Research
correct?
Forest.
Research
Research
Forest.
Forest.
And the traffic going both ways was like, it's like being in the Galleria.
You can really get around quicker if you walk. Just park and walk. It's better.
I was trying to kick Rob out of the car. He just wasn't going for it, though. He saw the rain clouds coming up and was a little embarrassed to be
insisted
walking
on
in
staying
the
in
rain.
the car until you parked. But anyway, well, there's a lot of trends in real estate. And one of the trends that we've seen for a long time is people are buying based on lifestyles. But I think energy efficiency has been a big piece of that. So kind of address that with your clients.
Everyone is always concerned with energy efficiency and how the home is going to wear over the years and the things they're going to have to be concerned with and their cost of utilities. The Woodlands obviously is named the Woodlands because of all of our trees. So we have
brown things with the green, right?
Yes, lots of them. Cannot cut them down over 6 inches in diameter. So we keep a very wooded, shady area. So that's a great start.
I would never have guessed that up there.
No,
Never.
yeah. Our new construction, all of our builders are doing a great job at being energy efficient with the new R ratings and the spray foam insulation and your double pane low E windows. Everything that's going into them it's become really important.
So,
And you get a lot of international clients up there.
A lot.
And so how are your international buyers looking at energy efficiency, especially sometimes when they're coming from areas of the country or areas of the world in which, I hate to say it, for example, in Mexico, not necessarily the most energy efficient homes. They're
Right.
used to paying a lot in electricity. They're used to, obviously, a lot of waste. I hate to say that in a lot of those mechanisms. And they come up here and they find out, wow, I didn't realize my bill for this home is going to be, less than $100 in some cases. So.
Right. A lot of them are pleasantly surprised. You're right. They come and they really don't have any idea what to expect. And so they're excited to see what they're going to gain.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
do you see the majority of your homes been new construction, or do you see them resales?
The majority are resales at this point. We do have new construction coming, but our land is very limited.
Yes, I know it is. I know it is. And so when they go to buy, and you're representing them as a buyer's agent, are they sitting there asking for like the utility bills and things like that?
They
And
do.
So do they make their decisions based on that?
I wouldn't say they make their decision based on it, but it definitely is a huge influence.
I could absolutely imagine. You know, one of the things that we actually have a caller right off the bat right here calling into the studio. Michelle, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, perfect. Well, I know you. Welcome to calling into the show. I know you have a question.
I do. I live in the Woodlands right now, and I had a question for Haley. Seeing as she's in the Woodlands, my husband and I are thinking about buying a bigger home. And my question is it the right time to sell? And would we get the most money for our home?
Well, Michelle, let me ask you a question. Are you wanting to stay in the Woodlands, or are you guys moving outside of the Woodlands?
Oh, yeah, we want to definitely stay in the Woodlands. My family, we're already rooted there, so we really enjoy it.
Okay. Well, now is definitely the time to sell. The best thing to do is probably to call your realtor and have them come over and sit down with you and go over a spreadsheet of the relevant sales in your neighborhood, and they'll be able to really give you a good idea for what you can sell for. We obviously have seen quite a bit of appreciation already. And, the thing to keep in mind if you're staying within the Woodlands is where you're moving to is appreciating just as quickly as where you're moving from. So, to identify that and get an action plan together with your realtor is the best thing to do, because it is a great time to sell and buy right now.
Or, Michelle, you could call Haley.
Yeah, that would be perfect. We really, haven't really started researching anyone there. So, I definitely could use your information.
Sure.
Absolutely. Give her your number.
Give your phone number.
So Michelle, you can call my office. It's 936-447-9625, and you can also find me at HaleyGarcia.com.
Wonderful.
Thanks
you.
for calling
I'll
in.
be in touch. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Michelle, for calling in.
Just wanted to piggyback on that with the appreciation aspect, because that, with the market being as hot as it is, and Houston really hasn't seen this kind of behavior for a very long time. So people are asking the question now, should I hang on to it more because there's going to be a big jump in the price? And, I think there's always a danger in playing that game in waiting and looking at the future.
Absolutely.
Well, she kind of answered that. Thing is, if you're in say a $200,000 house and you're waiting to have it go up 10%, that $400,000 house you want to buy is also going to go up 10%.
Right.
So it's a $40,000 up higher on the house you want to buy, and only $20,000 higher on the house that you're in.
Absolutely. Well, and taking from where I was going to go with that is that even if you were going to move to a different area, because that was actually a really brilliant thing. If you're staying in the same area, then it's really kind of a moot point, because one is appreciating as fast as the other. But if you were moving to a different area and the appreciation may be different, I think the question to ask is, are you happy with your return on your investment right now? If you're happy with it now, then don't worry about what could happen in the future, because it could go up or it could go down.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
I would agree. Is that a question that Kim normally asks you?
I was going to say I was about to segue into that. He says, that's true of up in Kingwood, where you and Kim live. The house that you're wanting to buy is going up every week.
I made the mistake of mentioning like a year ago that Kim wanted a new house, and that's become a theme for every show. So
have you gotten it for her yet?
Huh?
Have you gotten it for her yet?
No.
But every show we have to slip it in somewhere. It's one of those things keep in the back of his mind.
Yeah. Well, I'm waiting for the house to appreciate. No.
You should call your realtor.
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, one of the things that always concerns people is that, if I do list my house and sell it, how am I going to be able to find a house?
Right.
And
That's
can I find
a
the
great
house I
question
want?
right now.
Can I find an energy efficient, newer home or new home? And how do you kind of counsel them on?
It's a valid concern. Absolutely. Typically what we do is, before we put the house on the market, we'll sit down and identify what it is they're looking to go to and kind of really look at what the options are. And then I always give them realistic expectations for, over the past 3 weeks, this is how many homes we've seen come on the market in these areas we've identified.
So,
one of the things also within the Woodlands pretty interesting. You and I have a mutual friend, and she lives in the older part of the Woodlands, right? And then you obviously have the newer parts of the Woodlands that are growing up and that are still have a little bit of homes out there in Creekside Park, et cetera, et cetera. How are you seeing some of the older areas appreciate and change, and what modifications are you seeing people possibly doing to those homes that are a little bit older, that were built 20 and 25 years ago, that do need some upgrades, some maintenance, and some energy efficiency improvements?
Well, in the Woodlands, Chris, the areas that are in the older sections are the ones closest to Market Street, Waterway, and I-45.
Right.
So they're appreciating very quickly, although your buyers are coming in and they're realizing that they have no energy efficiency qualities. They need new floors and new countertops and new bathrooms and new kitchens, and, the list goes on. So they are appreciating, but it depends on if the current seller has already updated them to a certain point or if they need to come in and do a total rehab. So your value is going to be based on those factors.
I can absolutely imagine. One of the things that we're going to be having in a little while is Gwen actually has a whole list of efficiency improvements that, add a lot of value to homes right there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be talking about that as well. But one of the things that we talk about all the time is, and I think you mentioned it a little while ago, is, there are a lot of older homes that do need some of those energy efficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some newer homes also in which have a lot of appreciation. How do you really guide an individual? I mean, one of the things I have questions about all the time is, how do I know whether I need to buy a newer home or an older home? And I imagine you get those same questions. What's the guidance you give to somebody?
I start with location, because location you cannot change. So
Right.
we identify what is their work pattern, what is their drive pattern, how do they live their life, and we identify the location first. And then we go to the type of properties that are available in that location.
In Austin, they require energy audits now on a point of sale, and actually that was watered down from what they wanted to have happen. They wanted everything retrofitted with new things, and which would have been very expensive to buy.
And it's already expensive to buy
in Austin. So,
and Jim is involved in building up there. One of our guests here are going to be on doing some projects.
But
up there as well.
I see that in our future also, is that you're going to start seeing, as part of the inspection process, energy audits. And we had Reliant Energy on one time, and they talked about you
Correct.
can get a free audit from a Reliant, and just call them up, and they will come out and tell you about your house and where you can improve it, what needs to be done. So
The Rat Pack Billing Department, please send an invoice to Reliant.
yes, but have you had anybody kind of take the time to do an audit on a home?
No, we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
We really haven't.
They're just anxious to get a home.
They're-
right
Gwen is
now.
shaking
we're
her head over here
focused
that
on
she
getting
has.
the
Yeah.
inventory.
Yeah,
Called, Reliant, and they come in right away.
it's a great service.
They give them like a three-page. They give them like a three-page sheet of what they need to do to the house to make it more energy efficient.
Gwen didn't have a mic. 800-808-5548 if you're out there listening and you want to give us a call. We had a great call from Michelle there, so I wanted to make sure we gave the number again. And I don't know, what time is it? We're still not close
we
to a
still have
break.
plenty of time. Haley
Great.
has plenty of time to still speak with us right here.
Well, bring me some questions.
Bring it on.
Well, talk a bit about the lifestyles, and that's one of my favorite things to talk, because I don't think people buy homes anymore. I think they are buying lifestyles, and I think Woodlands is definitely
You're exactly right.
that market. So
Yes.
talk to me about the trends, what they're looking for, their outdoor kitchens, pools. I mean, the whole gamut of things.
They the typical buyer's looking for everything in the Woodlands right now. So outdoor kitchens and swimming pools and all of those things in the home are very important. Really and truly, what drives the typical buyer now that I've seen is the lifestyle. So it's how close are they to the interstate? How close are they to their children's schools? If they're in private school, where are the private schools located? Can the kids walk? The grocery stores, our community centers. We have villages in the Woodlands, so each village has its own little center pocket of shopping.
Right.
So being close to those, if people can walk to those,
I was just
big.
going to ask you that. Since the theme is green,
Yes.
are you seeing a lot more of a trend of folks wanting to be in walking distance and walking and that type of thing to and
lot
from
more.
work?
Yeah,
Yes,
you're seeing a lot more about walking scores. There was a website called walkingscore.com,
It's a
which
great
talks about
site.
the walkability of an area. Are you finding a lot of your people are choosing to live and work in the Woodlands, or are they commuting to downtown? Or
We obviously, because of our new additions of Exxon and Anadarko Second Tower and things, we're getting a lot more people that live and work in the Woodlands. But there's still a good bit that commute downtown as well. And the park and rides, for energy efficiency, are huge. Our park and rides are used very well in the Woodlands.
And you mentioned right there, the Woodlands has just seen that boom in regards to
Right.
even prior to ExxonMobil. Now you've got ExxonMobil that's gone up there. You got the second tower for Anadarko. You have a lot of stuff that's going on up there. And one of the things that I think everyone still says is get in now while you still can, because
That's
it's
it.
getting harder to find a property to
Much
buy in the
harder.
Woodlands.
Yes.
Well, the music is kicking in. We're up against a break. If you're out there listening, you want to give us a call, 800-808-5548. We're talking about energy efficiency and energy trends. And
don't go away. Haley.
Don't go away. We're going to have another awesome guest, either Jim or Gwen. I don't know which one we've decided on next. So we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
It doesn't need sugar, 'cause it's already sweet. It doesn't need...
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show.
We're just having an entire conversation.
As always. Entire conversation right
off
there.
air.
That's
I'm
perfect.
thinking we ought to start recording the in-between stuff.
Well, we used to have an idea. We said between the breaks.
Between the breaks.
And that was one of our ideas. We're still going to develop that right there. But if you want to call in, call us at 800-808-5548. We are live, able to take any phone call you have in regards to real estate, energy efficiency, green building, you name it. We can probably find an answer for it.
We have an answer for everything.
I would
sometimes
hope so.
The answer is sometimes the answer is I don't know, but I'll go find out.
So, about nuclear fission.
Yes. I'll get back with you on that, Joe.
I actually read a great article on that recently.
Let me Google it.
Yeah.
There's an app for that.
So
And it's actually relevant to the energy show. Look at that. That was a... Anyway.
Well, one of our mutual individuals that we all do a lot of business with and think very highly of by the name of
David Cherry
Cherry
over at Visibly Connected.
Visibly Connected. I'd like to give him a big shout out. But, he does a lot of stuff for a lot of individuals actually in this room.
Yes, he does.
In regards to social media, in regards to blogging, in regards just really helping individuals and improve their communication.
Ironically, he handles 3 of the 5 people sitting at the table right now, taking care of their individual businesses, but he takes care of the Real Estate Rat Pack.
That is correct.
Which is a wonderful thing, and he had invited on today a fantastic realtor.
Thank you.
Gwen Alexander.
Absolutely.
Woo.
Yay. Actually, I think Gwen, we were supposed to be on a while back, and something happened, and so
yeah, we had snafu with scheduling.
Well,
and
Will
stuff.
Smith kept.
She had a death in the family.
Will,
I did.
Will Smith kept scheduling with us.
Yes.
We kept throwing our schedule off.
And Will is in the green room, and we hope to get him on for the last segment if we have enough time. So,
well, welcome to the show, Gwen.
Oh, thank you.
Tell us what area of town that you work. Tell us a little about yourself.
I do. Oh gosh, I've been a realtor for 41 years.
Oh my!
What?
Just a little bit.
That is seasoned.
Very little.
That is
started when she was
right
2.
there.
I know. I started when I was 19. So I've been around a while in the North area.
You don't
Grew
look a
up
day
in
past 21, by the way.
thank you. Love it.
I would never thought it either, by the way.
But
41 years. Wow.
Yeah. My father owned the largest mortgage
still has
company
hair.
in the state, so I grew up in it.
Wow.
Mother was a realtor, sold all of land and all that. So, yeah. I didn't have a choice but where I was going.
And in Houston is where you started off at.
Yes, I grew up in Champions off 1960 when it was the spot, and now it has all moved north.
Yeah. So you work the spring in
I do
Woodlands
spring
area?
in the Woodlands, a lot in Magnolia now.
Right.
And in a segue, you were kind of got in the midst of that question we're talking about. Of course, is energy audits, and of course, a lot of our conversation today is about energy.
Right.
And you were shaking your head that you had people are doing audits on that.
I have people that are buying older homes strictly for the location. They need to be in this particular area, and we've seen like Alden Bridge area has gone sky high. It used to be considered a little far out. Now it's the thing in the Woodlands all of a sudden. And my people went in there and several clients have said, what can we do? The windows are old. You can see the ceiling cracked. Can we just caulk it? And I said, no, get HL&P or Reliant now.
Yeah.
Now you tell I'm old.
Wow.
Unfortunately, all of us in the room knew that reference.
Yes.
So,
except Haley, she's going, what?
Yes.
So anyway.
For all those Houston Lighting and Power.
Yes. Reliant will come out and do an audit for free if you schedule them. And they give you like a 3-page documentary of everything you need to do in that house to make it energy efficient. Then you have to pick and choose which is feasible financially to do. So you don't want to put a ton of money. Like somebody asked me, well, I'm going to put a solar panel in. Well, how long are you going to live there? It's $17,000 to put it in there. You're going to recoup $5 on your kilowatts You're going to live there for
and
that's
we'll
a
be-
very good question. I had a friend of mine. I went to go eat lunch on Friday, actually, with him. And he lives up in the Woodlands. He actually lives over there in the Sterling Ridge area. And so he asked me, he said, hey, I got a question. He said, what would you think and what value would this add if I was to do two things in my home that I'm very interested in doing? I don't know if I can do them or not. He said, one is I want to go to solar panels. That way I can reduce down my consumption of energy. And secondly, I don't know if I could do this or not, but I want to look at thermal for heating. And I said, well, I think you'd have to probably have some issues with the HOA right there. But his question to me was, how much value on an existing property? Obviously, there's a big cost associated with it. What would the payback be? And we don't know what really the payback's going to be depending on what it is. But also, from a resale perspective, how does that look? Do individuals who are buying a home put more credence into somebody who has upgraded something to solar panels versus a traditional home that has nothing on it like that?
Depends on who you're asking, the man or the woman.
Gotcha.
If you ask the man,
Oh, wow.
he's into the energy efficiency. If you ask the woman, she's into the granite and the stainless and things like that. It's a total different split.
That's a perfect
Real
answer.
quickly,
Because I'm
though-
sitting here going, yeah, that would
Real
matter to me.
quickly, though, Chris, is that I know Jim can answer a lot of these questions, and retrofitting a house is not the same as putting it into a new home. And
Oh,
and
Yeah.
so there's
absolutely.
some
Right.
spray-in things like that they're
Yes.
doing that work well with a new home, but don't necessarily work well with an old home. So we're probably going to address that with Jim's side. I understand we have a caller. Is that
We
correct?
do have a caller right now. Gary, how are you doing?
Great. How are you guys this morning?
Doing
Fantastic.
very well, thank you.
Listen, I'm sorry that I missed her segment, but I just wanted to say hi to Haley and let all of your listeners know that she is an excellent realtor. We closed something a number of years ago in the Woodlands. I don't know if she remembers, but she was awesome. She's a Woodlands expert. She's been up there many years. And my client was the buyer, and she was very patient with my client. So I just wanted
Sounds
to
like there was
let
a
all
story
your
behind that.
Yes, oh yeah.
let all your listeners know.
Well,
Absolutely. Well, Gary, thank you very much. One of the things Haley, I'm sure, really appreciates that. I don't know if you caught all that, Haley, but
I didn't.
you didn't. But basically, Gary was saying that you were an excellent realtor,
Well,
that
thank
you
you.
worked on a deal with him. You were very patient with one of his clients that he had up there, and he really, really appreciated that.
she's also an excellent realtor.
Well, thanks,
Yes.
Gary. I appreciate it. As we all know, patience is a virtue, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Gary. Really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's always a testimony to the folks we bring onto the show. We preach it.
Only bring on professionals.
We only bring on experts, and we're always fortunate to be able to get wonderful guests, and it's great when we have our listeners that can verify that and back it up.
Absolutely. But I know we were talking about that in regards to, I know Rob had asked that question. It's a lot, and we are going to be talking, obviously, with Jim about retrofitting versus what he does, which is building new homes. But, you mentioned, it depends on if you ask the woman
Absolutely.
or the man.
It's very different. So men are wanting to save money. They want that total figure right in front of them. What is this going to cost me? And the woman could usually care less, even if she is the breadwinner of the family, which we're seeing a lot of now. She doesn't care.
That's funny, but it makes complete sense.
It does actually, because that was his, when we were eating on Friday, that's what he said. I said, got a question. I said, have you done an estimate? And he said, yes. He said, and I said, have you spoken to your wife, which is a really good friend of mine? He goes, yes. And I goes, so what's the difference? He goes, she feels that money is better spent at this time somewhere else or doing something else, versus where I think is long term I'll be able to cut my bill down. And I'm like, well, if you're going to cut your bill down by $300, but it's going to cost you $30,000 to make this, what's your true ROI over that period of time?
Plus, you
right?
get some tax credits though when you do that. And
Yeah.
He was mentioning that as well. But however, there's still an expenditure. So a tax cut
and
is
sometimes
a big
it's
difference.
about saving the environment too.
Right.
So there's some bigger issues at hand other than just the immediate dollar
Oh, yeah.
saving. The other thing you'd mentioned about HOAs is that actually in the 2013 legislature they actually passed something that they cannot disallow energy efficiency being retrofitted on an existing home. Now,
Really?
they
That's interesting.
They you cannot stop them from doing it, but I imagine they're probably going to ask you to put the panels on the back part of the house in
Right.
most cases. But they absolutely cannot restrict you from doing
Well, a lot of
it
times
now.
they're putting them on the
That's
trestles
good.
nowadays. A lot of homes putting them not actually on the home. They're doing like a trestle type system. They
Right.
put them out there. And so what do they end up doing? What I've seen on some of the retrofitting is they actually go out there and make this really nice expansion into their patio, et cetera, et cetera. And that's where a lot of these solar panels are end up going.
Yeah, well, again, the HOA is going to have some say-so, but they can't prohibit you.
Right.
So that was a nice
That's
change.
correct. But I know our HOA and several said it can't be seen from the street. They just want it tucked away.
I imagine that's going to change eventually.
Jim is motioning us something over there. He said, "Is that going away?"
Yeah, they don't. They really, the way the law reads is that, and Texas had to pass it because all that came down in 2009 when they had the stimulus package, and the state got a lot of dollars. And part of the thing, they had to change the HOA rules, take away some of the authorities they have. The unsightliness argument for the HOA is not valid. The only thing that they can argue is that if it's dangerous, meaning it's like 6 feet off the ground or something.
I will tell ours. They're still sending letters out.
Sure.
They're trying.
Yeah, if you email me, I'll send you the copy of the legislation on that.
So there you go. So if you're having issues with your HOA, telling you can't put
we've been taking the teeth out of HOA. In fact,
Yes,
that's what
we
a
have.
lot of our tree pack dollars go towards is working with the legislature to take away the fangs of HOAs. If you recall, actually in the Champions area,
They
when that
took
woman's
it.
house
Oh,
was
that was
foreclosed on
horrible.
for a past due HOA bill.
Right.
And sold to an insider.
Well,
what a shock!
What a shock.
my HOA used to be run by the Gestapo, but they have recently gotten better.
Please,
so,
you ex-Gestapo, please don't call us.
Right. But she did get her house back.
Yes, I know
Yes,
she
that is
did, but
correct.
it took a lot of efforts and things like
Right.
that. It was never should have happened.
Absolutely.
But that's one of our little rabbit trails that we go down on
Yes.
occasion. So anyway, we go back to energy efficiency, and you're talking about get the audits. So when they get these audits back, do they usually act on all the items on the audit, or
Low E windows seems to be the first thing they put in. It's not a big cost, but it is a big saver. So, and it's a nicer appearance.
Yeah, I was gonna
for
say
an
it's a
older
nicer
home.
appearance,
That's
too.
right. It's a good resale tool for a person in a home. So that's one thing, and they do recommend that on almost every sheet I've seen.
and I've said this so many times that no one ever buys a whole house. They always buy a part of the house.
Right.
And they're going to go, and they'll remember that house. Oh, it's got new windows or granite countertops or whatever.
Yes.
Or outdoor kitchen. But usually it's some component, and oftentimes this thing's already been retrofitted for energy. I don't have to do it.
Right.
I know the
So
windows
goes
in my
up.
house stink.
Yes.
They are absolutely horrendous.
Except, we're going to move you into a new Jim Waller home
Yeah.
over here, Solaris home. And
I can cook a hot dog in front of my windows during the summer. It's like a convection oven.
What does that tell you? Kim, you need to work on this.
But Rob, one of the things that I saw in the deal at one place that they came out to, they had, their plugs in for their iPad, their plugs in for their phone. And he said, "Why are you leaving these plugged in?" They said, "Well, I charge everything at night." Well, it's phantom energy. It's a vampire. They're still sucking electricity. If you just unplug the things you don't use, it's $1.50 for every cord per month is what HLMP.
Wow.
Reliant.
Wow, $1.50 per cord.
$1.50 for every cord you have plugged in. that you're
Holy
not
cow.
using.
Kim, unplug everything.
We are coming up against a break again. Gwen, let us know where we can reach you if you don't mind.
I am at Texas Home Group on 2920, and you can reach me at my direct number, which is 281-370-2525, or you can reach me at gwenalexander.com.
And she's not going anywhere. She is coming back for our last segment when we have our open mic. But we're up against a break right now, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Scarlet billows start to spread. Fancy.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show, where Joe likes to play it at the beginning of all of his presentations, we found out just now.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just saying.
Are we getting
shout
a
out
royalty
to-
off that?
A shout out to Nancy Cottrell.
I know Nancy out there, Keller Williams out there,
Yeah,
premier.
yeah.
Right?
I was teaching in a class on credit a couple days ago, and she laughed and said, "He has an intro. You have to play the intro first." And she put on the Rat Pack music. So,
Well, enough about us. Let's talk about our next guest.
Why not?
Is that we've had Jim on before with Solaris Homes
Yes.
in Waller.
He is
Welcome
in
back. He is
in the elite.
a amazing resource about energy.
Yeah, and
so
he's in the elite two-timers club.
There's only like what?
Because there's
4?
only like 4 or 5 now that have been on the show
That is
twice.
correct. He's a two-timer.
Now that may be saying something about you guys.
We appreciate good talent. That's what it tells about us. So
Yes.
anyway, so
I'll accept that.
let's talk. I mean, you've really kind of grown since you were here last year. You're really kind of expanding where you're going. Talk a little bit about your company and where you're about to build.
Right. We, of course, do high energy, high performance type of houses that are at the very, very far end of energy efficiency. And the aspect is that a lot of the architects that I do business with are coming and saying, you know, I have middle size houses, large homes, extremely large homes, and people are looking for this. They're both sensitive on, as you were mentioning earlier, green and energy efficiency. So that has sort of worked into, we have for quite a long time been working in houses with the Department of Energy and net zero homes. We've done some subdivisions north of the Heights where they are actually the homeowners, their electric bills run for a family of 4, maybe $100 a year.
That's amazing.
$100 a year.
A year.
That's not a month. That's a year.
Not a
everybody.
month.
No.
A year. That's just
that's actual
mind-blowing.
expense,
Yeah.
or is that after tax considerations, or is that just actual bill?
That's the
from
electric
Reliant
bills. Yeah,
or
they
whomever they're using.
They get together some of the streets where we have 18 or 19 houses. Sometimes they'll have a barbecue in the summer, and they'll roll out. They'll come with their bills and everything. And I remember one fellow saying he used to have a $320 a year or $320 a month in August, and this year he had $1.80. So that type of thing. So it can be done. Yeah. So
That is amazing.
yeah, there's
Went
a lot
from
of products out there.
$320 to $1.80.
$1.80. Yeah.
And what's the average size of home on that?
These houses run about anywhere from 1,450 to 1,800 square feet.
Wow.
But size doesn't, on that, this is one case where
Well,
size
size doesn't
doesn't
matter.
Okay?
No.
I've
Whole
never
bunch of
heard that
guys
from
on the
a guy.
radio.
We
And
went there.
Yes.
We went there.
Sorry about that. But in fact, you can collect that type of energy efficiency in big homes. We have one just starting right now that's 24,000 square feet living. Okay. And it is going to be basically a net zero house. See, so,
Wow.
yeah, you can do that. I mean, the side that part of it doesn't matter. Some of the things you discussed today, like windows. If you have really good energy windows, you look at them. You have ratings like 30 and under. Vinyl, they need to be vinyl. The metal windows are
Yes,
out.
they conduct
Right.
heat.
That's the frame does drastically as far as the air conditioning systems. If you talk about people coming from Mexico, they get a shock that they're saving money. But you get somebody from Europe, and they look at it a lot different. They're amazed that we heat water in a big can in our attic.
Right.
That
That
throws
is
them.
amazing.
Right.
And why they put them in attics, I've never figured out why they took them out of the garage and put them in the attics. It's,
Well, you take like tankless hot water heaters, which run about 30%, 40% less energy per year. And the idea is you get continuous hot water. A shower for 5 minutes or 5 hours, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And in Europe, they've been using that since just after World War I.
yeah, that brings me into it because I know that those are usually gas heated. Do they have the efficient electric ones that are tankless?
When you say electric, there's nothing really efficient. As far as they're relatively efficient. Let's say they're more efficient than an electric hot water heater.
What's the
standard.
price difference in that between a tank and a tankless?
A good hot water heater, gas hot water heater, is maybe $300, and a good if you do a regular tankless hot water heater, about $700, and if you do a condensing, which uses 95% of all the BTUs in the gas, it's about $1,100.
And is it hard to retrofit a home?
No, it's extremely easy. I've recently been using a product that come out of Canada where they're the first ones to realize you can move 3/4 of an inch of gas through a 1/2 inch line if you just pull it a little bit, and so they can retrofit any place. They can just put it right up in your
for like $1,100.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, Navion is the name of the company. And they even have the ability now that particular product will learn your schedule, and if you take a shower at 7:30 in the morning every day, it will preheat some water.
Wow.
Be ready for you.
Well, I noticed I had someone take a tank out of an attic out of a house I lived in, and of course it had everything had calcified. They couldn't
so they
drain
weighed like
it.
8,000 pounds.
And they ended up stepping through my ceiling. I'm like, it's very cumbersome, and you're supposed to drain your water heater every year. Nobody I know
does that.
Nobody I know
Nobody
does
does
it. So this actually,
I've never done that.
from a actually a return standpoint, you're not. What do you think the life is on a water heater, like a tankless water heater?
A tankless hot water heater, especially if you put an online filter, you're looking 20 years. That's the
Wow.
difference.
You're not going to get 20 years out of a
No
traditional-
way. Yeah, no way.
Then the
to
other
get out of a-
aspect is you do get it. There is a tax credit when you buy one because of the energy efficiency component. I can't remember what it is right now. I think it's somewhere between $50 and $100, which is a help.
Absolutely.
That sounds like a fantastic return, bang for the buck. That's a very easy cost point entry for the average.
And I want
family.
to talk about foam insulation because I know a lot of people have taken existing homes, pull the sheetrock off and put it in foam, but it doesn't necessarily work well on a
Jim shaking his
existing.
head.
Yeah, he agrees with me.
Taking the sheetrock off. That was the
it's
first
like an
part.
attorney. I always,
Exactly.
I like an attorney. I always ask questions I already know the answers to. But everybody else out there doesn't. Talk a little bit about foam for an existing home and foam for a new home.
There are things you can do with foam as far as go in the attic and you can use about 8.5 inches of foam and you can get that house to, because 85% of your energy loss is through the ceiling. So you can knock that down quite a bit. And there's a couple of different versions of how you can do it, but the idea is you can use it like that. You can't get into the walls because when you put it down the walls, it'll blow the sheetrock off. And I found something interesting. I was back east last summer, and older houses, when they're replacing the siding, they blow the foam insulation and using the backstop of the sheetrock inside, and then they foam outwards and they put their new siding on.
Well, that would work.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of that.
Yeah, well, and there are some people, and especially our main office is in the Heights, so a lot of people they actually do take everything down to the studs, and then start.
And that's an
start
excellent
again.
time. Get in there and do that.
So.
And see, on a lot of houses, like in the Heights, if you do that open cell foam in the walls and then in the ceiling you do a closed cell in your ceiling joist, you can cut your attic right out.
Well, the biggest energy thief is, of course, air conditioning. Talk about new air conditioning systems, what people should look for. If you're buying one of your Solaris homes, what do you use?
Well, there's two different, we go in two different, and sometimes you'll do a split of two different kinds of air conditioning. First of all, when you go into using foam and you get an extremely tight house, for example, instead of like an exchange of 15 to 2,000 square feet per minute in a house exchange, it's 400. So you've cut that down a lot, is that you can't use the same type of air conditioning. You have to go variable speed air conditioning. But the upside of that is the fact that you can marry a variable speed system with foam insulation, and a 14 SEER system actually becomes a 16 because of the performance factor difference. But what, again, is coming out of Europe and Asia is a ductless air conditioning, where you don't bother with having ducts.
Yeah, well, I know Mitsubishi makes a unit.
They do a very good job.
Yeah, they were actually starting to get some traction here in the U.S. and stuff like that, and especially in retrofitting a house. It's
beautiful.
You can it goes up high.
It makes so much sense. You make the air conditioning in the room that you're using, and the whole idea is, and I use this with big houses. The master suite, I can control that because it just looks like a remote, and you can set the temperature, and then the rest of the house can sit at another temperature.
This is almost very much like the hotel or motel type air conditioners, where it actually you control it and it goes directly through the wall.
The concept, except they've taken it a step further.
And they're prettier, I hope.
Yeah, you don't see it, and the idea is that it will be sensing the room with infrared, and if it sees a hot spot, it'll actually they'll direct the vents to that spot.
And do you see a lot of that coming in the future? I mean, as far as that going?
You bet, because all of a sudden you have something that's a 23 SEER, which you really can't do with duct air conditioning. I mean, they're just that efficient.
Well, the thing, and I was a home builder in the past, and I remember one of the things I used to build with hard duct, but in a lot of the big houses I was doing. But I know a lot of people use these flex ducts, and they pinch it, and I noticed that makes it really very inefficient in airflow.
Well, let's think about it. If you have your coil sitting up in an attic that's 150 degrees, and you're downstairs, you're at 75, and you're calling for 2 degrees of difference or 3 degrees. Right. That's a normal thermostat will call for about 3 degree variance. It's got to get that coil down to where it can even work. Now, in our affordable housing, there's net zeros. We air condition the attic. It becomes part of the.
Well, talk about your affordable product.
Mind-boggling concept.
Talk about your affordable product. You were just referring.
Yeah, I mean, they too. We have that standard, like we were talking earlier. They have dual pane insulated vinyl windows. They have the tankless hot water heater. We air condition the attic. Although we increase the volume, the system is so more efficient. It reduces the cost of doing the situation. See, there's 8.5 inches of foam insulation in the rafters of the house. So the duct, you can go from an R8 duct to R6, which is cheaper. You can use, again, 14-series air conditioning, but it's going to operate like 16 or better.
Talk about where you're building that product.
Just north of the Heights. We like to call it Upper Heights, but in actuality, it's a CRA area, and it's Acres Homes, and that's one of the areas. But what it's taught us is we could take this and translate it in any size housing. That's the thing, and that's what we're doing this year, is moving out into other price
I'm really
point
excited
segments.
about that. I would love to see more stuff built like that because I'm not really happy with a lot of the new construction I'm seeing close in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the housing industry, because I've been in about 30 years plus, and it's very conservative, and it doesn't change very quickly. So,
Yeah. Is it any more expensive to build your house as opposed to a conventional house?
A little bit. What do you
think percentage-wise
well,
that is?
let's take because there's a lot of different things going on at once. You're saving 1,600 square footer. You're saving about $1,800 a year in electric. You have
Jim, do you contract for people? I mean, can they hire you to build on their lot?
Depending on the price point right now, because it's the upswing went so fast that we're getting capable people to be able to oversee the product. Because there's a lot of nuance to doing a really high energy efficient house. Little things.
Okay.
And it's amazing. And about to the point is you don't have to spend a lot of money if you think it out right and you get the right products. And the cost of things from solar panels to foam insulation has dropped significantly. I'm buying the same solar panel that I bought 3 years ago, but for 1/3 the price.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, thank you.
Wow. You know, Jim, we are coming up against a break again. Do me a favor. Let us know who we can reach if you don't mind.
It's 281-236-4664.
4664.
Jim Waller with Solaris Homes.
Solaris Homes. You're not going anywhere, but we are coming up against a break right now, so everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show. You know,
I'm glad
so
you were
far
watching
I
that
have
we're coming
learned,
back, Chris.
Well, so far I have learned that I have to unplug everything in my home.
I know.
Okay.
Holy cow.
That I need to get with Jim
30
about
minutes in
energy
the morning.
efficiency. That I need to
I wanna get
eventually
Jim to
change
put
out
in one
for
of
a
those
tankless
tankless-
water heater.
I want to get Jim to put one of those tankless water heaters. I'm not even joking. I'm telling Kim. Are you listening, Kim?
You need to get
Because
those-
my daughter takes like an hour-long shower.
Teenager.
I mean, just, she's, teenager, exactly.
It's a 45-minute shower.
Holy cow. I there's no hot water.
I must
Forget
be
it.
like
It's
12
all
then, because I
gone.
still do the same thing.
Do what? Oh, you take
I
one.
love taking 45-minute showers.
well, Chris, on the break, you were talking about your friend that wanted to retrofit your house, and we had a great answer. So why don't you ask the question again and let Jim answer that?
Yeah, we were talking about during the break. A friend of mine went out to eat lunch on Friday, and he was asking about putting in solar panels and even thermal he was looking at. But solar panels is a big thing right there. And you had a very good answer. You were talking about looking at solar as being a very efficient way of not only putting it into the home, but there's also some good tax breaks out there.
Oh, exactly. It's multi-phased. You have right now you can do solar panels probably $3.50 a watt. So whatever your size is. So, but you get a 30% tax credit in that year that you do it, and if you have, that's going to help quite a bit. You're usually for $15,000 or so, you're going to get 5.5 kilowatts, which will save you $1,500 to $1,800. Maybe even as much as $2,000 a year on your electric bill. Okay, you do a little bit of caulking and stuff like that.
Right.
Plus, as far as taxes go, now they recognize that the house value goes up with solar panels on it. But again, also written in state law is that your assessing entity cannot raise the value of your house for tax purposes for solar panels.
Wow, that's a good one right there.
As far as that goes, so that's a couple aspects that people don't look in the whole.
Now, if Haley or Gwen have a client and they want someone to come consult, do you actually do consulting with people on energy efficiency, or?
Yeah, we do. At that same number, because we have a company. We first started doing our own houses, then I started doing a few builders, and now we're doing a lot more stuff in the commercial aspect too, where there's some really favorable tax treatments for small businesses and things.
Now, is that something you would actually, if somebody said, you know what, Jim, I want you to come out, look at this is my bad spots, what would you recommend? And then would you also do the remodeling?
Yeah, again, it all depends on the dollars, because we're small and growing, and we sort of have to go towards certain size projects right now. We can't do everything as far as that goes. There is I encourage people to get what's called a certified rater to come in. He'll be prescriptive in that what should happen, what you should do to make your house more energy efficient, but he'll also show you what it will be once you do that. And the fellow that we use, and he's extremely good, he's well known in the city, called Clayton Farmer. It's bluegill testing.
Bluegill testing.
You can tell he's a fisherman.
Yeah.
You know, so. But he does a great job, and it's also certification for any tax rebates that you get.
You know, one of the questions I was going to ask Haley and or Gwen, so let's say you have...
Haley had a comment.
Well, go for it, Haley.
I was just going to say, Jim, if you came out to the Woodlands to do some of that consulting, or if somebody called one of these certified raters, I know that Gwen and I both probably have several construction companies that are actually going in and doing these remodels to bring everything up to speed. So with the realtor communication, I'm sure that we could connect the homeowner with the right people to get it done.
Yeah, if I was a homeowner, I would, in a situation like that, I'd probably get the rater, have them come out, do a prescriptive, and then call some contractors and say, here's how I want to do this. Now, what will that cost?
Right.
So you lead your contractor to let him know what you really want, rather than leaving it to him to tell you what he thinks should happen.
Right, and the realtors are such a great resource for that, because obviously we're the ones working hand in hand with them. So
absolutely.
For all the listeners, you guys can call your realtors and get the top list of these, resources to come in and get you bids to do the work.
Well, I certainly want to get Bluegill's phone number before we get out of here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, everyone's writing down Bluegill.
Or you could Google him while we're sitting here.
Yeah, but
sounds like another guest for the show.
Yeah, but one of the questions I was going to ask though is let's and this is for Haley or Gwen. Let's say, for example, somebody goes and does put in the new windows, and they put a tankless water heater in, and they end up doing solar. What value does this add to the property? That's one of the questions that was also asked to me. Where is the true value? Can you actually sell the home for more, or how does that play in regards to resale? I guess, Gwen, we'll start off with you and then go over to Haley.
You can. There's been some controversy over tankless hot water heaters with my clients anyway, in that the repair is a lot higher when it does break, and they seem to go down. I actually have one in my house. So because my bedroom is furthest away from the hot water heater, so I'm the one that gets the slowest hot water. I have to run water literally for 20 minutes before it would get hot. So we put a tankless. I haven't had any problems with it, but I do have clients say they've had a lot of problems, but I have a home water filtration system on my whole house. So that would make, I think, a difference.
The most problems I've seen with those is the fact that they've hooked them up to the wrong supply of gas or propane, and they are warrantied well.
Yeah.
I think we've had maybe one, and the company immediately says, take it off, we'll send you another one. Next day, another one shows up. They won't mess around with it. They're a little bit complicated inside, the interworkings of it. But the beautiful point of it is a tankless hot water heater, like you're saying, you're a long ways away. Right on the bottom, if you look on the bottom of it, you'll see other ports. And those are for people in your position where you can cycle water. You can have hot water right at your tap.
I'm not a real technical person in the mechanics of it, but I know when I turn on my hot water, it's there now.
Right.
Immediately.
There you go.
So
right, exactly.
That's what I care
Haley,
And that's all that matters.
Haley, you have a comment over there?
It really does add benefits to the house. I mean, there are people that will say, oh gosh, they've got an 8-year-old hot water heater. We're going to be replacing it. Here's a tankless. We know it lasts longer. So they look at the cost versus what they're going to have to put into it in another home.
Right. And, Chris, to go back to your question, it really is all relative. There's so many variables involved. So it's going to be what's the overall age of the home, what's the location of it, how are the relevant cells in the neighborhood driving up that price? There's definitely added value to it. But to be able to tell a seller, yes, you're going to get dollar for dollar for adding those $17,000 solar panels, probably not.
And that was the question. That was a perfect answer right there, because one of the things I was telling them is it still comes to the comps.
Exactly.
You can have you can have the most energy efficient home out there, but if the comps can't comp it out,
here's the other thing: swimming pools. You will not get your money back on a swimming pool, but your lifestyle, that's what you want. So a lot of times, it's not just about the cost. It's about your environment. It's about how you feel about it, things like that. Jim, you're percolating over here with a question or an answer.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of benefits to a swimming pool that you just can't put in dollars and cents. especially if you have teenagers, because you know where they're at. They're back there.
Well, there's some value in that.
Right.
Just knowing where they are.
Yeah. I've always found that. So
I know where mine's at. She's in the shower.
Yeah.
Burning through my hot water.
Well, I couldn't help Haley with the relative points, and one of them is the more the relatives are over, the more the electric bill goes up.
Absolutely.
The deal is though is that you're seeing a big difference in the appraisers. 3 years ago, appraisers didn't know what to do about solar panels. Now they're going to school for it. I'm beginning to see guys come out, and they really know what they're doing now, and they can recognize a house that's done with foam and the windows and the solar panels on them and stuff like that, where they didn't before.
Yeah, well, I think if you can amortize the cost over a 10-year period, I think I think it's worth it.
It's about
No,
7.
I would agree.
You're going to be in the house.
It's about 7.
About 7
Yeah,
years.
if you do the numbers, it's
Well,
about
right.
7.
Well, and
which typically is the average time that people are in a home.
It's amazing.
And actually, that time is actually kind of it used to be 5 to 7. Now it's about 7 to 10 people are remaining in their homes.
I would think that with the price dropping on solar as much as it is and all that sort of thing, the ability to finance and then the tax credit and the offset then in your energy costs, it's almost a wash in the expense of it, depending on how long you're moving. And then you add to that what you said, your great point of there's more than just the dollar amount. It's more about, hey, I make an impact on the world around me.
An impact on the world around me. Exactly.
So if you can have
I'm doing my part.
Yeah, exactly. And if you could have a wash in the cost of it, anything beyond that, then to me it's a gain. It's worth doing.
Yeah, it looks right now like about 7 years at the rate of electricity. If electricity goes up, it'll be shorter. The other aspect of it is the solar panels are guaranteed to produce at the rate they are for about 25 years, and at about 90% of their rated value for the next 10.
What's your biggest bang for the buck? I mean, as an expert in this area, solar panels, windows, caulk.
Yeah. Caulk the windows.
Unplug the cords, according to Gwen. That sounds like
I'd say unplug all the cords, $1.50 per each cord.
I'm going around the whole house as soon as I get home. I'm not even joking.
Unplug everything, go out in the backyard, get in a tent, and you're right down there to zero and no. I
like that.
Yeah. The usual suspects. You have caulking and insulation. Those two things will get you going real well. And then you can look at knocking down your electric bill, especially with the fact is that I don't think anybody feels that electric bills are going to get lower. So,
no. Good Lord, no.
You're going to cap what you're paying. Whatever it is, you're going to flatten it out. And that's what business likes too.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
and you just made me think of something. Energy bill. Well, I wanted to give them a plug. They were supposed to be on the show today, but Advantage Lighting and Power, phenomenal resource. They are energy brokers for residential folks. If you want a great rate, they're one of our new sponsors. Look on our website, Advantage Lighting and Power, and take advantage of working with those guys.
We are down to 2 minutes. Let's do our round really fast, starting with Haley over there. What is the one thing you want our listeners to leave the show knowing they can do, or what they heard today from?
I think you can sell your house right now. You can find something to buy. And obviously, you have lots of great realtors to choose from. So,
and how can they reach you?
HaleyGarcia.com or 936-447-9625.
Jim, how about you?
Yeah, I would say that first of all, that like the realtors always say, the best time to buy is now. So, and it's true. Low interest rates, the fact that a new house is going up faster than a used home. So.
Right.
It's a case where to get out of that used home and get into a new home.
Or a resale home, as we like to say in the business. Gwen?
And Gwen, how about you?
I think right now is a great time to buy. I think if you build it, you're looking at your bridge loan, construction loan, everything else. There are still houses on the market out there. Call us. We'll be happy to sell you anything you want.
How do they reach you?
281-370-2525 or Gwen at GwenAlexander.com.
You want to take us out of here?
And I'm always going to take us out of here. One of the things I want to start doing is every single show leaving with some words of wisdom for the week. And actually, I got a really good text earlier this morning from Teresa Kennedy, and she actually sent me a really, really good liner that I want everybody to know about. It says, "One compliment can affect a whole lifetime. Be bold and spread life-giving words." I think that is absolutely great to do. One of the things we always talk about, Joe and I, is about spreading good words, about being nice to others. It's a perfect way to do it. Again, check us out on the realestateratpack.com. Until next time, we will see you later.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes, that right. Yeah.
So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.